Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder. Please give me a few minutes to introduce you to the overall topic of this video because it will take a while and I want to put everything into context. Today's stars are, as you can see in the background, the Hanomag Henschel Jagdpanzer 5, German tank destroyer at battle rating 7.0, and later on we will see a gameplay in the German premium light tank at 6.7, that is the RE251. And I want to argue in a way that it makes sense for you guys hopefully as well, and also in a way that this video is hopefully a feedback video for Gaijin directly. I try to contact them and show this to them, so I hope I can argue in a way where then it makes sense and you will understand why I go this way. The last time that I did a video like this, it was, I guess, about the Super Pershing, comparing it to the other American 6.7 heavy tanks at the time, which were the T-29 and the T-34, and so it was quite obvious why it makes not a lot of sense to have the Super Pershing at the same battle rating as those two tanks. So in a way I'm a little bit more flexible with the battle rating discussion itself, but I just want to put it into perspective in the current meta. So also later on I hopefully get your feedback on what you guys think about it, to then just come to a civilized discussion, hopefully, where then secretly, hopefully somebody at Gaijin just can get the feedback quietly, and whatever they might change, well, we'll see why that is. Now let's begin with the reason why this might be, or the reasons why this is so an important thing. The Hanomag Henschel Jagdpanzer 5 is a Tech 3 tank, and it's the first German tank at around about this battle rating bracket that brings mobility and also a good gun with it. The gun you can see with the Heat FS and also the Henschel is quite good. The stock grind with the APCR is one of the worst things that you can experience in War Thunder, to be honest. And yeah, that is one thing. And Germany needs mobility. And in my opinion, it is also pretty bad that Gaijin introduced the RE251 as a premium light tank. So not everybody can get it. It's not very cheap either. And in my opinion, a premium tank should never be a gap filler or should be essential for a lineup to make a nation work at its battle rating. That includes all nations. So whenever Gaijin brings in a very good performing premium tank, it is always open for discussion if that was a good move or not. In the case of the RE251, definitely not. I still stand by my word that the RE251 at 6.7 is not the Tiger 2 support that I want, but that's another discussion. So let's begin with the comparison, finally, after 3 minutes of introduction rambling. Let's begin with the three basics, and that is the mobility, the firepower, and the protection. Let's begin with the protection, and on both tanks it's not really a tale to tell. It is not very impressive, although the Jagdpanzer 5 has two advantages. First of all, it is lower profile, so it can take cover even behind the tiniest of rocks, and it has thicker armor, more consequently of 50mm, so there is no real weak spot. But 50mm at this battle rating, even angled, let's face it, that's not good. That's 5mm more than a T-34 hull. Yeah, at 7.0 versus APDS versus HEAT-FS, HESH versus high penetrating APHE shots, it's not really an argument, so the mobility therefore should compensate for it. And for the Jagdpanzer 5 we have a healthy horsepower to ton ratio of 19.6. But to be honest, it is a case-made tank destroyer, so up until you actually break and you bring the gun on target, that is quite a substantial amount of time. Whereas then also the RE251 has just a better responsive characteristica, I guess, and also has a better top speed by plus 10 up to 80 both forward and in reverse, with a horsepower to ton ratio of just under 26. So that is making the Jagdpanzer 5 only having 3/4 of the RE251's overall mobility, with less responsive time, and overall then also the RE251 having the advantage of a turret. They both share overall the same ammunition, whereas then the Jagdpanzer V5 has an additional APCR for the stock grind, which is horrible. But you could argue, yes, you can shoot through bushes and through certain obstacles in the way. That is true, but you know, who uses APCR, especially at this battle rating? You want to have something that is reliable, and APCR is just simply not reliable. So the mobility is in the direct favor of the RE251. Then the firepower, they are very similar, although again the RE251 has the advantage of having a turret, and additional to this, the RE251 has an artillery strike, the RE251 can scout, and the RE251 also can help repair allied team members. Not even those in a squad, just random team members it can help repair. And that is powerful. So it can scout for the team and can stay in cover. It can choose when or when not to engage. It doesn't necessarily need a perfectly prepared ambush. A normal average ambush, is enough. And the battle that you can see in the background with the Jagdpanzer V5 was an exceptional lucky game to get it and to get into this position, and the enemy team not reacting appropriately, nobody coming for the revenge kill. You get the point. So that is so far the direct comparison, but there is more, because now let's compare it to other tanks and their firepower and where they stand. So let's just count some of the tanks that there are with equal or low battle rating, having better firepower even, or the advantage of a turret. There is for the Soviets the Type 62 rather rare reward tank with heat FS and also APHE at 6.7. The STA-1 and STA-2 having also heat FS and APHE at battle rating 6.3, and they are the absolute killer in this discussion. Type 60 SPRG, Fiat Orbal 74, R3, T106FA, they all have a lower battle rating. Okay. Then there is also the MX-1390, it has a turret. And there is also the RE251 with the previously mentioned advantages. Also the Vickers MBT and the Centurion Mark 10 for the British have a stabilizer and a turret and APDS and high rate of fire. You get it. So they are also pretty good. So that begs the question, is it really power creep in terms of firepower? I don't think so. And even if this tank goes down to 6.3, let's make it rather extreme, it still doesn't have a heavy machine gun, it still doesn't have an arty strike, it still just doesn't have the scouting ability, it can't really help repair random teammates, and it still doesn't have a turret. Okay, that's my point. And Germany needs something with mobility, that's the next point, because at this battle rating bracket, there is nothing. So that's the point again, why this tank should have a lower battle rating, where then it is something powerful and meaningful. Now let's also have a look at some other tanks throughout the tech trees, where then the tank destroyer variant that shares the overall same capabilities and firepower to another tank that has a turret has usually the lower battle rating. There are still exceptions, I have to agree, but in the overwhelming majority of cases, there is a tendency. Let's begin with the Americans. T28 Premium 6.3 versus T29. Heavy Tank 6.7. Okay. Stuck 3G 4.0 with the KWK-40 L48 versus the Panzer IV-H that fields the same gun at battle rating 4.3. The one is the tank destroyer version, the other one is the normal combat tank gun. Strange is it that the Stuck 3F has 3.7 versus the Panzer IV F2 battle rating 3.3, so that's the other way around, just for complementation. Then we come to the Panzer 470 or the Panzer 470 with the long barrel 75, where the A variant, the premium variant, has battle rating of 5.0, and the V variant, the tech tree variant, has a battle rating of 5.3. The Panther D is the first tank with a turret that has this gun, sits at a battle rating of 5.7. But I'm not done yet. The same could be said about the Ferdinand's, battle rating 6.3, the tank destroyer variant with a lot of armor. Same with the Tiger 2H, battle rating 6.7. Then we have the Waffenträger at 5.7 with the long 88. It has a rotatable turret, but overall the gun handling is very debatable. Versus the Panther 2, which is very mobile and just also has a turret, which fields a battle rating of 6.7. Then Jagdtiger 7.0 with the 128mm, Maus 7.7. Then there are the Su-85A, which is a recent reward event vehicle, sits at 4.0, versus then the T-3485 D5T has a battle rating of 5.3. So you get the trend, but it gets even more extreme. CIS-30 with the 57mm has a battle rating of 2.3. The T-3457 has a battle rating of 4.3. Battle rating difference 2.0. ASU-85 with the Soviet long-barreled 85mm with APHE and heat, you remember, 6.3. Object Nano 6, amongst many other advantages, 8.0. So I think that is a good comparison right there. Obviously the Object Nano 6 is crazy with its autoloader and its stabilizer and being amphibious, you name it. But then again, in the Soviet tech tree, let's continue with the Su-122-54 with a battle rating of 7.3. It has Heat FS, it has APDS, it has APHE, it has also 14mm heavy machine guns, much like the T-10M that has a turret and sits at a battle rating of 8.3. Then for the British there is the Archer with a battle rating of 3.3. Terrible gun handling, but it has a 17-pounder. Remember, 3.3. Sherman Firefly 4.7. Again, big battle rating difference. Not so much difference here between the Conway 7.0 and the Conqueror 7.3, but again we still have the tendency. Then you could argue in a way that the Type 60 SBRG sits at 6.7 and the STB-1 sits at 7.7. Again, a lot of more differences here, but you get the trend. A clear difference is here the MX-50 Foch 7.3 versus the MX-50 with 8.0. Basically the same gun. The MX-50 Foch, very mobile, strong armor for that battle rating and for what it is. And then there is the MX-50 with an autoloader, not a lot of armor and also quite mobile. But still, the tank destroyer has here a 0.7 lower battle rating. And at the end there's also the CA Lorraine at 6.0 versus the MX-50 and the Lorraine 40T, which sits again at 7.0. And again, they have the turret, yes they also have an autoloader, but you get the trend. So where is now the point in the Hanomag Henschel Jagdpanzer für 5 being 7.0? Because if you drive it repeatedly throughout the battles, you realize what a big hindrance the lack of a turret is. And you have no other abilities. Let's sum it up. The Hanomag Henschel doesn't deserve this high battle rating because it has no artillery, it has no scouting ability, it has no stabilizer, it has no autoloader, it cannot help repair random teammates, it has no laser rangefinder, it has no heavy machine gun, and effectively it has no armor. So what is the point of this tank being at 7.0? I would love to have here a proper explanation. Maybe there is one. Maybe there is a point in the playstyle where this tank is completely overpowered and I don't see it. Okay, that would justify it. But again, the firepower is more common at lower battle rating. So in a way, you could look at the American 6.7 tanks and just look at their firepower. Because here we have, let's begin, the M50 Ontos, which has 6 recoilless rifles at battle rating 6.7. Then there is also the M56 Scorpion that has also the availability of APHE and is so much more mobile. Yes, it is more vulnerable, but you get the point. Then there is also the T114 with the recoilless rifle M40A1C. with a 3-shot autoloader. So you get the point. It is not really a visible argumentation there for me personally. Again, if you have a different point of view, if you have arguments that actually justify it, let me know, because I'm very interested in it. For Gaijin, I would love to see a battle rating change to go into 2 ways. So the first possible thing is a simple number change from 7.0 on the battle rating to at least 6.7, preferably 6.3 for the Hanomag Henschel Jagdpanzer für 5. That would solve quite a lot of problems, or it would help a great deal for Germany, at least if people would be confident in driving this tank. And as I pointed out, it wouldn't be overpowered, it wouldn't be really a problem. The other thing would be, we leave the Hanomag Henschel Jagdpanzer für 5 where it is and begin with the overall necessary decompression. Again, for all of you who have not heard about this, there is a problem in War Thunder. The higher tier it goes, the more important it gets, and the more visible are the results of it, and that is compression, where technology meets other technology at a very low or not at all battle rating difference, where one nation fields stabilizer, the other one doesn't, where one nation has high penetrating guns, the other nation doesn't, where one nation is very mobile, the other one isn't. So that is a substantial drawback in the battle, and you should always give every nation at least the tools to perform. It is then down to the players to perform, and not down to the predetermining of the outcome of the battle by nation versus nation at a single battle rating, or also the map deciding it completely from the beginning, which currently sadly is the case, in my opinion, in my experience rather. So again, the second solution would be decompression. We leave the Hanomag Henschel Jagdpanzer für 5 where it is, and up tier all the other tanks, the Type 62, the STA 1 and 2, the Type 60 SPRG, the Fiat Orbol 74, the R3 T106FA, the AMX 1390, the RE251, the Vickers MBT, the Centurion Mark 10, and lots of other tanks that have, heat FS, 90mm heat FS to be specific. Just as an example, to have the, oh god, I'm so sick and tired of those T95 quadruple buff right now. So I switched to Hesh, and that solves here the problem. So I think it should be always fair for every single nation, and it's just down to give them the tools. And I hope I could just show you in the video footage in the background how differently they play out. Where, with the Jagdpanzer für 5, I was the lone wolf somewhere in an ambush position, waiting, some sort of passive frontline camping, or some ambushing or going wide somewhere on the map and then having no influence. Whereas the RE251 is just more mobile, has more tools, with the turret, with the artillery strike, with the scouting, with the repairability, and many other things. So I think it's just unfair to make it the wrong way around. And again, the only explanation is that there is some sort of premium bias for the RE251, and that shouldn't be the case. Or should it? Let me know. So here in the gameplay you see that I was really with the team. I scouted a lot, I engaged the enemy, I could dictate the outcome of the engagement or the engagement overall, and that just, that just gives me a more confident feeling about the tank and its abilities. It's not a perfectly played round, but that was one of the first battles where I played it, and I think that is then overall representative gameplay. If it is not the very best battle, but not also the battle where you got one shot in the beginning, and I used nearly all tools of this tank. So now the match is about to end, and hopefully will bring us a good amount of profit. The RE251 also has the massive disadvantage of being now introduced as a premium tank, so there is never ever the possibility again to introduce it into the tech tree where it would be desperately needed. Again, a premium tank never should be able to then lead the nation to victory. It shouldn't be necessary, it shouldn't be mandatory, it should be a nice add-on. So here 67,000 civilians and 9,000 research points for 5 kills, 2 kill assists, and a lot, and I mean a lot of scouting. So 21 times I scouted. That gives my team the positional awareness, and then they can react to the threats. So I hope I made my point clear. Let me know in the comment section if you agree, disagree. Let me know then why, and give this video a like if you agree, and if you like this video, obviously subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the battlefields of War Thunder.